Empires don't collapse overnight. They slowly decay from within long before anyone notices.
For over 1,000 years, the Roman Empire ruled the known world with unmatched power and wealth.
But Rome is remembered not only for its greatness, but for its disastrous fall, brought not by swords, but by the collapse of its money. The downfall began with a single decision inside the imperial palace, a hidden economic trick disguised as progress. This is the untold story of how Rome printed its way into oblivion, creating history's first hyperinflation crisis. To understand the collapse, we must return to the time when Rome stood at the peak of its power. This is the story of Rome at the height of its glory, when the empire ruled the world and believed its power would last forever. Rome was the most powerful civilization on earth, stretching across continents and shaping the world like no empire before it. More than 70 million people lived under Roman rule, united by law, culture, and the promise of protection.
Rome's engineered road network, over 400,000 kilometers long, connected cities, armies, and trade faster than any society in history.
Aqueducts carried fresh water across vast distances, proving Rome's genius was built on innovation, not just conquest. Cities thrived with theaters, markets, temples, and bathhouses, living proof of prosperity and sophistication unmatched by any other empire. But the true heart of Rome's strength was not its roads or its armies, it was its money. The denarius, a small silver coin, was trusted everywhere and backed by real precious metal, the lifeblood of the empire's economy. As long as the denarius remained pure, Rome remained unshakable, and its people believed the empire would last forever.
Rome's greatness demanded constant expansion, but the glory of conquest soon transformed into a burden too heavy for the empire to bear.
War had built Rome, but war would also become the force that drained it.
The empire's armies stretched across 3 continents, requiring endless supplies, weapons, food, and silver salaries to keep them loyal.
What once filled Rome with treasure now emptied its treasury, turning victory into debt.
The empire spent silver faster than it could collect it, and fear began to grow among those in power. Rome faced an impossible choice: raise taxes and risk rebellion, or cut military funding and risk invasion.
In desperation, the emperors chose a dangerous illusion. They decided to create money without earning it.
Silver coins were secretly diluted with cheaper metals, producing more coins that looked identical but were worth far less.
People continued using the new coins, unaware that the value of their money had already begun to collapse. Rome had just created the ancient world's version of money printing, and the first cracks in the empire had begun to form. What began as a quiet financial adjustment soon transformed into a crisis that would shake the empire to its core.
At first, nobody noticed that the silver in the denarius was shrinking. The coins looked the same, but they held far less real value.
The hidden change allowed emperors to create more money without mining more silver, flooding the economy with worthless currency.
For a short time, everything seemed normal. Trade continued, markets were busy, and people trusted the coins in their hands.
But as more diluted coins entered circulation, prices began to rise silently, like smoke filling a room long before flames appear. Merchants soon realized that the new coins bought less than they once did, and they demanded more coins for the same goods.
Trust, the foundation of all money, began to crack as people questioned whether the denarius still held real value. Those who understood what was happening hoarded real silver and gold, refusing to accept the new diluted coins. The poor suffered first. Their savings became worthless, and they could no longer afford basic food and clothing.
What started as a quiet financial trick now spiraled into the first inflation crisis in recorded history. The quiet rise in prices erupted into chaos, and Rome entered the first hyperinflation crisis the world had ever seen. Prices exploded overnight, and goods that once cost a single denarius suddenly required dozens.
Money lost meaning, as coins that once represented real value became nearly worthless metal discs.
People rushed to buy anything they could before prices climbed again, turning markets into scenes of panic and desperation. Merchants refused to accept denarius coins at all, demanding gold or foreign currency instead. For the first time, people realized the empire's money could not be trusted, and trust, once broken, never returns easily. Soldiers refused to serve unless they were paid in gold, and without an army willing to fight, Rome's borders began to collapse. Villages abandoned coin-based trade entirely, returning to bartering food for tools, animals for clothing, anything but money. The economy fractured, and the empire split between those who could survive and those left to starve. Rome had entered a death spiral, a collapse fueled not by enemies, but by its own broken currency. With its economy in ruins and its armies unpaid, the once eternal empire finally began to crumble under the weight of its own collapse.
With no money to pay soldiers, Rome's defenses weakened, and enemies attacked from every direction. Cities fell one by one, and the empire that once ruled continents could no longer protect itself from invasion.
The emperor himself lost power, as rival generals fought for control of a dying nation. Without unity, the empire shattered into pieces, each region struggling to survive alone.
In the year 476 AD, the Western Roman Empire officially fell, ending more than 1,000 years of dominance.
A civilization that once believed itself eternal was destroyed, not by foreign power, but by the collapse of its own currency. Rome believed it was too powerful to fall, and today the modern world carries the same dangerous confidence. Just like Rome, modern nations print money to solve problems, believing there will be no consequences. Prices rise, savings shrink, and ordinary people suffer first, while leaders insist everything is under control. History shows that when trust in currency collapses, society collapses soon after. Germany in 1923, Zimbabwe in 2008, and Venezuela in recent years all repeated Rome's mistake, printing money until it became worthless. The patterns never change. Governments create money, inflation rises, the currency dies, and chaos follows. Rome teaches us that no empire, no economy, and no currency is truly invincible. The question is not if history will repeat, but when. This is Dark Economics, where we uncover the truths that shaped the past and reveal the warnings the world is ignoring today. Understand money before it controls you. Subscribe and learn what history tried to teach us.